How's it going? Good. Well, I know there's a lot of excitement around the game, more excitement probably what I'm going to talk about, but more than anything, I knew you guys would be here for the game, and I thought it'd be efficient for both of us to address a number of issues. So I thought if I could hit them now, I'm going to be traveling next week with the women's team to Connecticut, and then we got the ACC AD meeting. So there's just been a variety of questions that have come in to Kenny and I, and we just said, why don't we go ahead and just hit some of these right now and get some updates. First and foremost, there's not an update on the NCAA. I think, so I know everybody's hypersensitive when we call press conferences these days, but these are going to happen routinely as long as I'm around, that we'll do some updates. But there's nothing to report there, and surely you guys will know as soon as we know. We'll get the notice, we'll have a 24-hour period to turn something around, and then we'll get to that topic. So I think that's one of the things that we're as excited as you guys to hear something. When it happens, but I'm not spending a whole lot of my day worrying about when it's going to come. A second thing is, yesterday we had our football signing class. It was, it's a little bit of the anticlimactic because the new signing period in December, and then you got the one coming up here in February. We signed a few kids. We're happy to get, obviously, Jerry Sprint's the local one on that class, and it turned out to be a terrific class, one of the best. But I didn't say a whole lot about that as I was running down here to the women's game last night, but it was fun to hear about the players. We're excited about the quality of the class. I think it filled the needs. We got a lot of big boys on the defense line to go with the offensive line that we picked up last year. And more importantly on that topic is less about the players that we signed, was more about how it happened and what's going on in the football complex. So I know we talked a lot about the stadium expansion, and everybody seems focused on the seat count. The kids that are coming in here that are looking at our facilities are really focused on the football complex. So they're looking at the Traeger, they're looking at the weight training, they're looking at the training room, and a variety of things. When I sit through these weekends with the recruits and their families, they're more focused on the whole package. They're looking at the training complex and the whole football complex, but certainly with the Thornton's Academic Center and the housing that the university's invested in, I think it's led to the quality of the players that we've got this year, and hopefully will in the future when this thing's complete. The other thing, just for a little clarity, I've seen in some of the notes that have been out there about the expansion being 10,000 seats. Just to clarify that, it's not 10,000 seats. It's closer to 6,000 seats. It's the way the end zone expansion was designed was about this fan engagement, fan experience. I think you've heard about players walking through the live crowd down below, coming through the suites, and the success we've had in selling those suites, the club seats, premium seats, and then the Adidas three-stripe zone has been terrific. Nearly sold out across the board on all of those 4 spots, and we're excited about that. So if there's a question about there was 10,000 originally, it was, I don't know what the original plan was. I was spoken that maybe it was thought of, but that's where our seat count is. We're doing the RFP now, and we'll know exactly the seat count if you're going to zone in on that. But the other offshoot of that is that's where the financials were budgeted from and run from, is that seat count, not 10,000. So just a little clarity on that topic, as I've had the opportunity to dig in further on the due diligence there. So we're going to continue to push on fan experience in the stadium. We're going to continue to push it here. We've only got a few home games left in the basketball side. We really have ramped up a number of things we've been doing marketing wise, and some of this grassroots marketing. We'll continue to do that going forward, with obviously a focus on the point is the students and how we get them engaged, and if we have to teach them cheers and bring them down here with school buses, what do we have to do just to find the right balance with the students and what they have available to them today to watch and be a fan as much as you are, as much as our fans in the seats and our donors. So we'll work on all that as well. Last topic on the football is there's been some questions around the nepotism policy. There is a university nepotism policy that was passed. There's also the opportunity to have an exception report put in on those if you so choose to go that path. We have done that. Ryan Beard, as you guys know, was the last assistant that was placed. He was on the staff and then tagged as the 10th assistant, and that exception policy has been submitted to HR. There was a delay because you guys are well aware that we had an organizational change last Friday, but it has been placed. I have signed that, and that's something that Bobby and I've talked about openly about that. We all know there's sensitivity around it, and making sure that there's not double standards, and we get into those things and just properly manage it from there. And that's a communication that I have directly with the coaches as much as with Bobby himself. Jumping back to last Friday, I know you're aware that we had an organizational change in the department. You know, I spent quite a bit of time over the last 4 months looking at how things operate elsewhere, you know, across the other collegiate campuses and athletic departments. Spend time questioning folks at the ACC, NCAA, doing my own research on positions, what the right structure is to be those famous words, effective and efficient. And we did make changes on Friday to accomplish just that. The first, really my focus has been since the day I got here and get this organization wrapped around it is the student athlete experience first. And having been one of those, I get it, and that's where we're trying to focus on that. We think about the head and the body of the athlete, you know, making sure their mental and performance side of it is in check, as well as strength and conditioning, sports medicine and nutrition. We had those areas reporting up to 3 different individuals in the senior staff, broken out 3 different ways, none of them with a medical background. And that's the direction we're going, is we have one of the positions that's created out of this is an associate AD of student health and wellness, and it's to focus on just that. In this environment, whether you see it professionally or collegiately, these are our thoroughbreds. And we have a significant investment in facilities and people and staff, dollars behind them to keep them healthy both in the head and in the body. So that's where I'm focused and have been focused since day one. That hasn't changed. So when we talk about, you know, where those things are, that's where we'll be. We obviously moved some things around on sport management. We've taken that away from the CFO position and from fundraising. Those will move into other positions, and we'll no longer have sports management in the financial area or in fundraising. So we've consolidated some of that, and then we're adding a position that's associate AD of administration, and that'll take on the HR as well as the legal contracts, student conduct that Christine Simatopoulos has had in the past, and dealing with Title IX as well. So there are things that we had to accordion because Kevin Miller's retirement came about. He carried a heck of a load here in a variety of ways with sport management and finance. And then Christine Simatopoulos, who's a terrific talent, had a number of responsibilities as well. And we've divided up those and put things in better places, if you will. Created a structure that you know, that I could talk more detail, but won't today. But again, this was more focused around about the student athlete experience. That's the front of where it is. We're the stewards of that as the athletic department. It's not the other way around. With the changes, it's certainly going to come efficiencies. And, you know, we're looking at cost savings because we should. It's the right thing to do and being more efficient where we should invest dollars properly. I'm sure your first thing is to be, well, is this related to donors and so forth? It's about creating the right size of organization that we need to run the department. And with that said, I've done research even on my own position and how other ADs are paid in the conference. I looked at the top 3 and how they're paid, took the average of those top 3, it comes out to $854,000. So yesterday I put through a salary reduction to myself to $850,000. So historically, what I'm looking for is $1 million of savings out of the AD office from budget year to budget year, with $500,000 of that coming from the salary and $500,000 coming from third parties that we don't need to utilize going forward. So with that, we're trying to set the tone is to tighten things up and use that $1 million to, again, protect the student athlete experience. Should there be shortcomings in any way, I don't want anything to change on behalf of how we recruit our athletes and how we pay these coaches. We got high-performing sports programs. We're going to keep the top coaches in there. We're going to pay them to market. And in the same vein, I should be the same as long as I'm in here, and whoever comes in the permanent position should be the same. The you know, donor temperature, I know there's, you know, you get that brought up quite a bit. You know, it's a small but mighty voice. You know, you certainly got noise out there, but I'm meeting with groups between 30 and 50 between, you know, before most home games and talking to them directly. It's a grassroots effort. I go to offices of some of our larger donors and run to the fire in terms of dealing with any issues they may have and giving them the vision of what I believe our athletic department should support and what we're doing here. Today, when I'm done with this press conference, I'll be meeting with a group from the GLI, the Great Louisville Link, of probably 150 leaders in the community, telling them what's going on as well and what we're up to at the athletic department. And we'll continue to get that voice out there that's proper and articulating what we think is best as an athletic department team, not just me individually, and keep going on that front. We've got terrific fans. I mean, that's the one thing about this, and you see it whether they're a ticket holder or a donor or both. You know, they're passionate, and you're going to hear the noise from them, good or bad. And that's the thing I love about this. This is the greatest part about growing up in this community is how passionate these fans are about our sports programs. I'm one of them, and I have to hold back myself when I'm on the road games, and Bob Valvano sitting in the audience knows that. I'll pound the table or yell or what have you when I'm out there. I get into these games, and there's another, you know, tens of thousands out there that follow us in the football stadiums and the soccer stadium and whatever sport they choose to support. You know, basketball tonight, and they're passionate. We're fortunate to have them around, and we'll take care of them. And it's up to us to articulate that and get that out to them, to what's going on, and so they're comfortable that we are being just that, good stewards of the student athletic experience here. With that being said, you know, last Thursday, I felt like one of the things that got kind of passed over was the approval of contracts with two of them are extensions and one's a renewal. Danny Busboom-Kelly, we, you know, certainly she had a terrific year. We extended her contract another year, put it on the hard to say this, but on her season year. It was a contract that ending in June. We extended to the end of December while giving her a bump as well, and put some incentives in there for her to excel as our head coach to be here, hopefully a long time. She's done a terrific job, and the kids have really performed well for her and appreciate her as their head coach. And recruiting-wise, she's doing terrific. Karen Ferguson-Days, again, we've extended her out a couple years. She had 3 years left on her contract. We bumped it up to 5 years. She's excited to be here. The sport of soccer is growing. Not just in men, but in women's. And again, I'm highly supportive of Karen and excited that we got that extension in place. And then the last one is Ken Lola. His resume is terrific, as you guys know, from Elite Eight performances to College Cup. And his contract expired in December. When I got here, it was one of the things I was, you know, found that it was expiring in December and had not been extended or renewed. We consider the best college coach in soccer out there. He and I spoke openly about that during the season, decided to address it after the season, and we got approval of that last Thursday as well for a 5-year extension with him. So we're excited to have Ken running this program for another 5 years and hopefully longer, and expect equal and better results out of him. He's got great talent once again. So those are the highlights. Those are the questions I've been hearing from the group, and again, in the spirit of efficiency here, we knew that most of you would be here tonight, so I'd ask Candy, let's pull this together and just give an update on a handful of topics. I'm sorry to spook you into thinking this might be the NCAA press conference, and there's plenty of other, probably more important news around our team and the game tonight, but I'm happy to take a few questions before I go speak to this group.
Vince, you're 2 months from the spring signing period for college basketball. What's your situation with David? Obviously right now, recruiting would be a really big issue with David.
Yeah, I mean, David, right now David's recruiting like any other coach would, and the coaching staff is doing that as well. You can probably look around the arena and you'll see the recruits around here. You might notice they're particularly large. But I think, you know, April 11th is the signing date. We're going to have those kids around here. We're talking about wearing the jersey that says Louisville as much as for who they're playing for, you know, meaning the head coach. But I think the recruits, when I talk to them and talk to their families, it's about what's going on in the athletic department. And they certainly have faith and keep us in the mix, because they know whether it's David or whether another coach, that we're not going backwards. We're going forward, and our expectations for the program hasn't changed.
What's your timetable